Hey, what's good, YouTube, man? It's your boy Malik back at it again with another reaction, man. We got 10 weirdest foods that people actually eat. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, man, and let's get into this video, man.
For most kids, the most adventurous things to eat are fruits and vegetables. Whether it was broccoli, asparagus, or Brussels sprouts, everybody had one food that they hated to eat growing up. However, the majority of people begin to mature and their tastes change. But no matter how adventurous you are in the kitchen, very few people would feel comfortable eating the following dishes. From insects to eyeballs, today we're counting down the 10 weirdest foods eaten in other countries.
They be eating spiders, bro. Right.
White ant eggs are commonly found and utilized as food in Southeast Asia, predominantly Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. The ants are often piled high and fried, ready to be consumed as a quick snack. One of the weirdest is white ant egg soup, a mixture of eggs, partial embryos, and baby ants. People say the eggs pop in their mouths, releasing a sour flavor. Separating the eggs from the soldier ants requires a bucket of water. When the eggs and nest are in the water, the adult ants lie still and even clump up in the water. They aren't dead, just saving their energy. You don't want to just throw them in the trash, or you'll have a trash can full of angry red ants when you come back. Perhaps surprisingly, ant eggs are relatively nutritious. Ant eggs are a high source of protein. 100 grams contain more than 8.2 grams of protein. It has less fat and calories than chicken eggs by containing only 2.6 grams of fat, while chicken eggs contain more than 11.7 grams. It contains other minerals such as calcium, phosphorus, iron, sodium, potassium, vitamin B1 and B2, and niacin. With that said, it will probably take more than impressive nutrition facts to convince most diners to try this dish. Jellied moose nose is an Alaskan delicacy composed of cooked moose snout. To cook this dish, chefs remove the bulbous appendage from the moose, slice it, and boil it until all the hair can be plucked away easily. After the hair is removed, the snout is returned to boiling water and onion, garlic, and spices are added. Eventually, the nose softens into a gelatinous texture. Residents of Alaska and Canada's northernmost regions are no strangers to moose meat. In such climates, moose meat is eaten in the form of steaks, sausages, and even pizza topping. In the past, indigenous hunters in the greater Northwest could rely on one whole moose to feed a family for weeks. Every part of the animal was eaten or preserved, including the nose. The moose's long, bulbous snout is still considered a delicacy among indigenous communities. It was important in these cultures that every part of the animal be used, otherwise they risk starvation. Though it sounds pretty strange to the average Western diet, many swear that the meat, which is both light and dark in different parts, is delicious. In case you're looking to prepare some moose nose,
that might be actually good though. It looks nasty right there, but
an array of other spices, which may include cinnamon, cloves, allspice, or mustard
it might be like deer a little bit.
Other parts of the moose's head, such as the ears and lips, may be added to the mix. Once the concoction has cooled down, the cook lays the pieces of meat in a loaf pan, douses them with broth, and places the mixture in the refrigerator so the broth can solidify. The resulting jelly is served like a loaf of bread and eaten in slices. Corn smut, fungus, Mexican truffle, these are just some of the aliases of huitlacoche. But what exactly is this soft, spreadable, jet-black ingredient? In simple terms, it's a plant disease that grows on ears of corn around the kernels
if it's a plant disease, bro,
that look kind of like river stones.
I'm not eating that,
bro. Take this strange fungus into the culinary world, huitlacoche becomes a delicacy used in all sorts of dishes, from soups to enchiladas to sauces. The name huitlacoche is Nahuatl, which is the language of the Aztecs, still spoken by more than 1 million people in central Mexico today. Utilizing this ingredient also dates back to this time. Corn, or maize, was a staple in the Aztecs' diet, and they used the corn fungus mainly in tamales and stews. Of course, not everyone is okay with plant-ruining diseases creeping in on their crops. Many farmers outside of Mexico destroy infected plants, and new strains of corn have been modified that prove resilient to the fungus. Luckily, with the influx of culinary awareness, huitlacoche has become a bit of a delicacy in the States. The semi-popularity of the ingredient came about thanks to Joselina Howard, founder and the first chef-owner of Rosa Mexicano in New York. She served a huitlacoche-focused dinner at the James Beard House in 1989. That went over so well, others started thinking about the food. It's still served at Rosa Mexicano restaurants, as well as many other mainly Mexican eateries. Advocates make the argument that it's only as gross as eating other semi-rotten products, like yogurt and cheese.
I'm not eating those. You can catch me later, bro.
Fans of blood sausage and black pudding will like the next item on our countdown. Dinuguan is a Filipino stew made of pork meat cooked in pig's blood, vinegar, and spices. Offal parts are traditionally used in this rich and spicy dish, but sometimes chefs use pork belly to tame the fear factor. It's most often served with pork blood and pieces of ears, snout, stomach, and kidneys. It's perhaps closer in appearance and preparation to the Polish soup chernina, or an even more ancient Spartan dish known as balas zomos, or black soup, whose primary ingredients were pork, vinegar, and blood. Most gourmands describe the taste as savory, bitter,
I don't know. I
or
probably
even
gotta
a
be
little
really,
bit
really
metallic.
hungry to
That
eat
doesn't
this
sound
type of
appealing
stuff
to
like
you?
this,
You're in
bro.
luck. A vegetarian version is known as bean guan and is made of red beans, tofu, onions, garlic, and vinegar. The red beans are cooked, mashed with water or vegetable stock added, then drained to remove the skin. Sometimes corn flour is added to thicken the liquid, so the consistency mimics coagulated blood. Regardless, it is considered a delicacy all across Southeast Asia, as pig's blood cannot be used for every meal. However, it may take a while to catch on in the Western world.
I don't know about that one. I gotta be really hungry to eat that one.
Kasumatsu literally means rotten cheese and is made exclusively
Oh,
in the
nah.
Sardinia island. The cheese contains
that look like
live
maggots, bro. I'm
and
not
is a
eating
part
that.
of Sardinian
Ugh.
food heritage. It's made up from sheep milk and belongs to the Pecorino family. After fermentation, the cheese is left to decompose with the help of the digestive action of the cheese fly larvae, which are introduced to the cheese solely for this purpose. Due to the action of the larva, the cheese becomes very soft and liquid. A different variety of this cheese is also available on the island of Corsica. It is a traditional food of the region and is mostly consumed at weddings and celebrations. Kasumatsu is created by leaving whole Pecorino cheeses outside with part of the rind removed to allow the eggs of the cheese fly
That's
to
the
be laid in
little-
the cheese. A female fly
little
can lay more than
worm maggot
500
looking
eggs
thing
at
is
one time.
climbing
The eggs
on,
hatch and
crawling
the larva
on them, bro.
begins to move
Like,
through the cheese. The acid
not
from the
eating
maggot's
that, man.
digestive system breaks down the cheese's fats, making the texture of the cheese very soft. By the time it's ready for consumption, a typical kasumatsu will contain thousands of these maggots.
yeah, see. Yeah, it is maggots.
Chiraco is not a food for the faint of heart. Many people are
Chiraco.
familiar with caviar, or fish eggs. In fact,
Ugh.
caviar is considered a high-class food all over the world. Most people would not hesitate to dig into a heaping pile of fish eggs, regardless of their taste, because they serve as more of a status symbol than a culinary tradition. But Chiraco takes this idea one step farther. Chiraco in Japanese means
I
white
like,
choker, but refers to the sperm sacs of either cod, anglerfish, or pufferfish. Looking like white blobs of goo or miniature brains, they're said to have a sweet custardy
man, that
taste.
look-
So next time
they
you
look
host a
kinda
fancy
nasty,
dinner
bro.
party, be sure to stock plenty of fish
Look like a
sperm to make
brain.
a good impression. Some have compared the dish to the infamous Rocky Mountain oysters. Don't be fooled if someone offers you this dish. It's not seafood. In fact, Rocky Mountain oysters are none other than fried bull
Yeah, I won't be
testicles.
fooled,
Much
bro.
like
What do you mean?
Chiraco and caviar, this dish is extremely expensive, though very few people find it particularly delicious. It just proves that there are weird foods eaten all over the world, including the United States.
Strange
Stargazy
eating-
pie is an
strange eating
odd-looking
food.
concoction. The heads and tails of pilchards poke out of a short crust lid. Their bodies, meanwhile, are tucked under the pastry. A white sauce envelops them.
Make it into like a pot pie a little bit.
It's seasoned
Oh,
with
no,
horse
I'm not
pepper
eating
and
that
parsley.
neither. I
Inside
like
the steaming
sardines a
pie,
little bit.
grating a boiled egg adds a touch of
Sardines in a
nourishment.
pot
American
pie.
stock supplies a base. It's hearty cooking, what you might imagine tucking into on a cold winter's night in a quaint Cornish village. It all smells of a buttery sea and tastes much the same. But Stargazy pie is more than just an intriguing food item. It's said to be born of famine in Cornwall's tiny port of Mousehole. The story goes that many years ago, it's not exactly known when, winter storms were thrashing the village with all their roaring anger. And this was when
What?
such weather cut off the region from the rest of England. People were going hungry. To feed themselves, they were forced to bake
Got a
full
little
fish
kid
with
eating it.
whatever they could find in a pie crust. The original pie in the legend includes sand eels, horse mackerel, pitchards, herring, dogfish, and ling, along with a seventh fish. In a traditional pie, the primary ingredient is the pitchard, although mackerel or herring is used as a substitute. Richard Stevenson, chef at the Ship Inn in Mousehole, suggests that any white fish will work for the filling, with pitchards or herring just added for the
Bro.
presentation. Prior to putting
Bro,
it in the pie, the
this
fish
is
should be
kinda-
skinned and boned, except the head and tail, to make it easier to eat. Along with the fish, the other traditional ingredients are thickened milk, eggs, and boiled potatoes. In this last iteration, it almost sounds appetizing, until you imagine biting into a full fish head and scaly tail.
Yeah.
Muktuk is the
Muktuk.
traditional Inuit and Chukchi meal of frozen whale skin and blubber. It's most often made from the skin
Frozen
and blubber
whale
of the
skin.
bowhead whale, although the beluga and the narwhal are also used. Usually eaten raw, it's today occasionally finely diced, breaded, deeply fried, and served with soy sauce. It's also sometimes pickled. When chewed raw,
Never know,
the
that
blubber
might be-
becomes
that might be
oily
good
with a
when
nutty
you're hungry.
taste. If not diced or at least serrated, the skin is quite rubbery. Muktuk has been found to be a good source of vitamin C. The epidermis containing up to 38 milligrams per
Hey,
100
them
grams.
polar
Blubber
bears
is
going
also a
crazy,
source of
they
vitamin
going
D.
to town on
However,
that.
it's been claimed to contain PCBs, carcinogens that damage human nervous, immune, and reproductive systems that originate from industrial sources and are concentrated in the marine food web. But regardless of its
That look
nutritional
tough
content,
to eat.
Muktuk is a distinctly amoral food to eat. Whales are gentle giants of the oceans, and because they're mammals, they share more than 50% of their DNA with humans. Due to pollution and climate change, whales are dying in
crazy.
droves, and humans are directly to blame.
Share
A select few
DNAs.
cultures on Earth, including Norway, Iceland, and Japan, are still legally allowed to hunt whale because they have a long-standing cultural precedent. However, these countries abuse the law and overfish whales to sell them for profit. Always refuse whale products when you encounter them on vacation. Those who partake are contributing to a cruel form of poaching.
Tuna eye.
When in a sushi restaurant in Japan, you're likely to see cuts of tuna belly in maki rolls, or on their own as a sashimi. However, walking through a fish market or grocery store, you'll see a very different part of the tuna case.
I'll eat the tuna,
eyeballs. Japanese chefs
you know
cook the fleshy
I eat
tennis
the
ball
tuna
sized
fish.
eyeballs as appetizers or
I
bar
don't know about
snacks.
the eye, though. The eye,
consists of a
though.
hard
They gotta cut
exterior
that little
known as the
thing open.
sclera, which holds the
Little
legs,
eye.
the iris, and gelatinous fluid. When cooked, the sclera is usually too chewy to eat, but the inner contents of the eye become soft and can be easily sucked out.
Where
like
your gloves
bone
at,
marrow.
man?
Chefs often lightly braise eyeballs in a mixture of soy sauce and mirin, or saute them with sesame oil and ginger. The eyeballs themselves are rather bland. Most tasters liken them to squid, mussels, or a hard-boiled egg. Today, tuna eyeballs can usually be found in Japan's izakayas, casual after-work pubs that dispense hors d'oeuvres and drinks. The cooked eyeballs are served one or two at a time, alongside other dishes. If you're lucky, you may even be able to pair them with a shot of tuna's tears, a rare drink made with soju and raw tuna lens.
Wow. Fried tarantulas.
Culinary season starts in
See, bro,
Cambodia with a
I'm
local
scared of-
delicacy
I'm not
back on
scared
the
of,
menu, tarantulas. Cambodia's
spiders,
rainy
but like, you
season
know what I'm
starts
saying,
in
I've never
June,
seen a
which
tarantula
brings with it
before,
an increase in
and I'll never eat
tarantulas,
it. I
which
would
are
never
hunted
eat a
and
tarantula
sold to be
in my
cooked
day in
and
my
eaten.
life.
The spiders are found in the countryside, and up to 140 can be captured per day by hunters. The spiders are prepared with sugar and salt, then cooked in hot oil, producing crunchy, salty snacks. They're popular with locals, who prefer them to crickets and silkworms, which are other
Gosh,
insects
bro, I don't
commonly
know
sold
about
in
them
street
tarantulas,
markets.
man.
Vendors
Some
can
people,
sell
they
up
eat
to
that
100
thing
tarantulas
live.
a day, proving them to be quite popular. People describe the outside of the spiders to be hard and crunchy, while the inside is gooey. Obviously, tarantulas are venomous,
Ugh.
but there have been no major studies into the danger of eating them fried. Some believe that the frying process cooks out the venom, while others believe that too many tarantulas can be hazardous to one's health. Regardless, these spiders are a delicacy, so it would be difficult to eat too many at once.
Tarantulas, bro. Hey, so man, that was the end of the video, man. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, like, comment, I'm out this thing.